Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video we shall discuss current affairs and the Gazette for today, that is 19th of January 2022. Before we begin, let me welcome all the participants here. Here we have Amlan, good evening. Hi Babani. Hi Jyotish. Hi Hima, good evening to you. Hello Sam. We do have Netra, good evening to you. Hi Ashutosh. Good to see your participation. Hi Asim, good evening. And then we also have Ashmita, good evening to you. Kriti, hi, good evening. And other people who have joined right now or are not participating in the conversations, but yes, being a part of the conversation. Good evening to all of you. Good evening and welcome. This discussion is on, there's an ensuing discussion on the participation of the private sector or liberalization of India's space sector. We will discuss this in one of the snapshots today, the issues that deal with the liberalization of India's space industry. Largely, the points that you have presented are very good. Now, the points which are related to opening of the Indian space sector, that is good. One of the points that yes was mentioned was that the private sector will be more liberalized to participate in space industry without government intervention. Yes, this is something that can be normalized. Itna extremes par nahi bolna hai answers mein, right? So rest apart, largely the points were good, right? The issues also that you have presented are largely good, and yes, in limited time, that means it is thoughtful and it is presented in limited time. That is good. All right. Agnes Inba, good evening. Hi Ravi. Hi Rishu. Good evening to all of you, right? So let's start this conversation with some important things that have happened very lately, right? In news, it was discussed that one of the countries has changed its capital. They have already declared that they would change their capital, but now they have almost formalized this. This country is the country of Indonesia, right? So this is the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta, and this was earlier, the capital was based right here in the Javan island. So Sumatra belongs to Indonesia, Java belongs to Indonesia again, and then we have the Kalimantan. Kalimantan is the Indonesian part of Borneo Island. This Borneo Island has got other countries also, Malaysia, and then we have another small country whose capital is Bandar Abbas, right? So which is that country? Which is that small country, that kingdom which is very rich in petroleum reserves? The third small country. Now, the part which belongs to Indonesia is Kalimantan, and they have planned to shift the capital from here, Jakarta, to a city here, based right here. And this is the plan. There are quite a few reasons why they want to shift the capital from Jakarta to the new capital based right here, right? The first reason is because of climate change, climate-induced change. The capital city is going down under, right? So the flow of the city has been 2.5 meters in the last 10 years. It has subducted itself below the ground level. That is the impact that this place has had. So the government finally decided that they would shift the capital. It would incur huge expenses, billions of dollars for the the whole setup to shift from one city to other. Another reason is that it has been said that excessive groundwater utilization has been another cause. What has happened is that people have started to use excessive groundwater in a place like this, right? In a place like this, urban setup like this, and it has largely been unregulated. Now this has led to the emptying of the reservoirs where there would be groundwater reserves, and because of which there's further subduction of land. This is the reason why a decent part of the city has gone below water levels, right? Now there are impacts of this issue also. Impacts. For example, if we shift the capital to another place, this is an island which has got more of forest reserves. And Indonesia, Malaysia, they are good in cultivation of something called as palm oil, right? This is not native. This is not their native. It was brought here by the Europeans and the people in the medieval and modern times. This was a part of the pre-question that came. Was it native to this place? No, it was not. Brought from Africa and Nigeria, right? The place where palm oil actually grows. Now, when it was brought here, then there was a lot of destruction of the forest. Palm oil has got a very slow, growth rate. Those issues are there. And now when the island capital will shift to another city, this will lead to further destruction of biodiversity here, right? The animals, for example, the simple example, there were trees earlier in these Indonesian islands, and they were cut down to create those palm trees. A palm tree mein you will not find monkeys living. This is the live example. They cannot hop on from one palm to the tree to the other, but they could hop on from one regular tree, the tropical rainforest tree, to the other. So this will also result in decreasing biodiversity, spoiling of the ecosystem of this place. And there have been many other issues in the capital of Jakarta, one of the most populated places on earth. All right. So this is one of the news that has been in focus. The other was a question that was asked by one of you, that was regarding the bank systems, right? So the question that was asked to me was regarding the hierarchy of banks. See, I was asked about a question, if private banks, so where do we have private banks? We have private banks inside scheduled commercial banks, right? There are public sector banks and there are private banks, but they are all mentioned in the scheduled category, schedule 2 of Reserve Bank, right? So this is the scheduled category. Can we also have private or public sector banks which are unscheduled? Yes, absolutely. We can have unscheduled and private or public banks, both of them, right? And we could have scheduled cooperative banks also, urban cooperative and rural cooperative. See, this is one of the ways in which banking industry can be studied, right? There's another way it can be studied, that is through the utility of the banks. So some of the banks are, for example, specialized banks for specialized purposes, special banks, right? For example, differentiated banking, right? Catering to a particular category of people, right? Differentiated banking. We talk of the payment banks, small banks. Then we have development banks, right? They largely indulge in refinancing of development projects. What are those? For example, we have SIDBI, we have National Housing Board, right? So they indulge in development projects and they refinance, right? Similarly, NABARD, right? Similarly, we have something called as, there was a question asked on universal banks. Yes, this is the one. So what is a universal bank? Universal bank is the one which performs various functions. It operates at multiple levels. So it will not only indulge in retail participation, retail, for example, I am a retail customer. It will also participate in wholesale transactions, intergovernmental transactions, transactions that are that relate to bond purchases, 100 crore, 1000 crore, ek baar mein, right? So this is the second, and the third one is that it can also indulge into transactions, for example, investment banking. Yesterday itself we studied the concept of trading, right? So we understood what is derivatives trading. Now this is where these investment banks also can enter, right? So this is a universal bank. Can a public bank be universal bank? Why not? इतनी औकात है, इतना अच्छा कर सकते हैं, तो become a universal bank. Don't only get into retail participation and purchasing of bonds. Get into a bigger market. No, this is what India wants to achieve. But right now, capacity is not such. Which are the banks which are into all this? Have you heard of Bank of America? Huge bank into all these three. Have you heard of Hong Kong, Shanghai, HSBC? Have you heard of a bank like Citibank? It is these banks, many of these banks are suffering huge losses because they don't have a niche in catering to the smaller customers in our country, right? They have a niche in catering to bigger demands of the country, which India does not presently cater to. For example, Citibank, it will quit its services. There are various other important banks which are into universal banks, few in India, but yes. So the question was, can universal banks be private banks, public banks? Yes, why not? But this is on the basis of functionality, right? Here the categorization was different. All right. So this was the question. I will keep on discussing questions one by one. You please keep on putting the questions. So I do have one question from Asim. He had asked me a question on what is the function of NCB, right? Narcotics Control Bureau. Now NCB, I'll discuss this, but not today. NCB will understand the difference between what is NCB, what is the jurisdiction of NIA, what is the performance of CBI, and there are a couple more agencies, right? Investigative agencies. We will understand each of them together. All right. So what are the interesting articles that we cover today? Very interesting articles for you today. The first one being news snapshots. The three of them are Web 3.0. Web 3.0. What is this? A new initiation. We will understand what is Web 3.0. Are we into Web 2.0 right now, or what is Web 1.0? The second one is a very, very popular deal which is going around in news, all the newspapers everywhere in the last 2-3 days. Antrix-Devas deal. What is the issue? We will understand in totality. The third one is another outbreak of issue, federal issue, Republic Day, Tableau. We will understand each of them. And then we have this day in history dedicated to Debendranath Tagore, father of Rabindranath Tagore and Satyendranath Tagore. Feature news for today is on the state of forest report of India. We will understand this in totality, what has happened in India, what is the meaning of reserve forest, or what are the tree cover and forest cover, everything, all the keywords here, the important changes that have happened, we will discuss in the feature news for today. Interesting, very interesting. Image of the day dedicated to a mollusc variety was in news today from the Hindu. All right, terms that we have: National Startup Awards, Twindemic, Weather Hazard Atlas, Vulnerable Witnesses, two editorials that we have, one on the RELAS agreement between India and Russia. What are the pros? And the second one is on family entrepreneurship. What are the pros and cons? Case study of the day is on a person who is failed in school examination but is creating news by creating syllabus for what agriculture university should be teaching. Right? So let's begin this interesting conversation. The first one is Web 3.0. Before we understand what is Web 3.0, we should understand what have been the previous versions of web, right? Web 2.0 and Web 1.0. Now, a typical Web 1.0 is the one which are Indian government websites, right? So there is a hierarchy of generation of websites, just like we have 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. We have Web 2.0, right? Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Right now, what we usually watch or participate in is Web 2.0. But what is 1.0 is a typical site where information is displayed by the person who has to display. There is less interaction. I cannot type in things. I will not be able to, ads will not be displayed according to my choices. Not only that, this will only be to give or broadcast some information. Typical government website, this is one. Web 2.0, this was a previous development around the world, but yes, some of the websites in India are still such. Web 2.0 is a further development of Web 1.0. What happens here is that we start interacting with it. Very good simple example of this is the Amazon website. We can like a product, we can comment on the product, right? If it is good or not, we can share it with other people. See, so much of interaction. Ads will be placed on the website according to my needs and my demands. So this is 2.0, further interaction, but here the issue is that big tech giants, technology companies like Google, like Facebook, like Twitter, like those companies which have resource access, bigger giants, they are the ones who are going to handle Web 2.0, which they are already doing, right? And there's also news of corruption and scandals there. And Web 3.0 is the one which we will enter into future. What is it about? It is about a web system in which it will be more personalized. For example, if Amazon was the intermediary which was approving the transaction between two people, supplier and the end user, here there will be no intermediary in Web 3.0. There will be direct interface between supplier and the taker or user of the service. How does it happen? It happens through blockchain technology, and Ethereum. The founder of Ethereum is the one who initiated this Web 3.0 in the year 2014-15, and the world is now looking into this. See, there has been an architecture for Web 2.0. क्या होता है कि in 2.0 there are three parts, right? So interactive panel, back end, and front end, right? Front end is what we see. The intermediate end is what happens in the machine, computer, softwaring, and back end is the storage of data. In Web 2.0, more storage of data autonomy is there with the big tech giant. But in Web 3.0, it will be there with the users, right? They will be the one who will be authenticating. Blockchain will be the one which will be authenticating their services, right? So this will lead to further interaction, personalization of services, and data privacy as well. So this is Web 3.0, and that is why in news, because the world is going to introduce itself to Web 3.0. All right. So this is the first one. We have explained the difference here. See, if you see, the published content is more in Web 1.0 and user generated content is very less. First वाले version में user क्या generate करेगा government website पर? कुछ नहीं. But if we start interacting, social media, all these things started in 2000s. 2005 onwards, we had Orkut, we had Facebook, we had Instagram, everything, and this is where interaction of users, it got propelled, right? So this is the second generation that we are into right now, but we are going to enter into Web 3.0, which will be more advertising, individual user based, right? This will be more application based. मेरा time कम waste होगा वहाँ पर, right? They will be using blockchain technology, right? Peer-to-peer interaction will be extended further, but there are doubts by the who's who in this industry, Twitter ex-CEO, and then we have Elon Musk. They doubt that new structure will be effectively created or not, right? Because new regiments, new rules will have to be written, no, for the intermediate and back end. All right. So this is the first snapshot. The second one is on Antrix-Devas deal. So what is this about? Very much in news. I think you would have seen this in the newspapers. Have you seen this one? Have you seen this one into news, in news around or not? All right. So Ravi says, will it not lead to job loss? Yes, it could possibly lead to job loss. But that is the reason that we need to create those kind of technologies which are more horizontal based rather than, vertical economy of scale. We discussed this, Ravi, yesterday, right? But then what can we do? It is the technology is the alibi, right? All right. So Ravi says Deutsche Bank is one of those banks, right? Okay, great. Sir, is any public sector bank universal bank? By India ke banks, so I am not sure if they are participating in those services like derivatives and all. But there are NBFCs participating. But NBFCs again, they are not in retail, right? All right. Okay. So next one. You heard about Antrix-Devas deal. All right. So what has happened is that this is a complex one, but I will simplify this for you. Now, Devas was one of the private companies, a startup company which was formulated in December 2004. Look at the turn of events. कैसे होता है? Antrix is the space, the space marketing agency of ISRO. So let us quickly understand what ISRO has been about. All right. So here we go. Now, ये सबसे important part है. You should know this as a matter of, because the rest of it is a story, but this is something that you will utilize directly into your answers. ISRO was formulated in the year 1969, right? And the first person who was the chairperson of ISRO was Mr. Vikram Sarabhai. All right. So all the space programs under him, and then we had other people also who got further initiated, right? Satish Dhawan and APJ, etc. Now, ISRO has to monetize its products, right? You yourself spoke of this. The reason is that the current share of ISRO in the global market is just 2%. But if it monetizes its products, if it liberalizes its products, it will have a share of 10% in the global market. 10%. Can you imagine? And ISRO is doing a wonderful job. We all know that many of the ASAT tests, for example, we could do it. We are the ones who are able to launch through PSLV, our space horse, right? And we are launching other satellites also. So ISRO has got good commercial viability. Okay. So because of this, government has said, let us liberalize this sector. Let us have more FDI coming in. So regulation jahan par direct tha government ka, let us reduce down on those regulations. We will regulate, but there will be reduction. So they instituted some institutions for this. So few of them are NSIL. Antrix is an old one, right? So NSIL instituted in the year 2019. Their job and Antrix job, both of Antrix na space. So they have this similar job, Antrix and NSIL. NSIL stands for New Space India Limited. The difference between them is that while Antrix will be handling the foreign players who want to participate in Indian projects, ISRO projects, and make it more commercial. मान लो कि USA को एक satellite भेजना है. They want to send a satellite to to the space, to lower Earth orbit, and India is already sending a rocket there. So Antrix is the one which is going to negotiate the revenue. So as Ravi has directly mentioned, it is the commercial arm of ISRO. Absolutely, Amlan, both of you, Somik, very good. Antrix is a commercial arm. So is NSIL. At the New Space India Limited, this is also the commercial arm, but this commercial arm is going to deal with the domestic people only, domestic manufacturers, domestic participants, and Antrix for the foreign ones. And both of them are going to handle the customers. Both of them are into marketing. Along with that, India has also initiated an INSPAC. So this is the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. What are they going to do? They are the one who are going to actually regulate the private sector participation. Okay, abhi in this year only, ISPA was in news, Indian Space Association. It is an association of the private bodies. Airtel bhi hai, Tata bhi hai, Reliance bhi hai. All of them want to send their own satellites abroad, right? Just like what Elon Musk is doing, just like there are other people, Amazon chief Jeff Bezos, and we have other people doing, right? So this space association will be regulated by INSPA. Now you see, we have understood these three bodies: NSIL, Antrix, and INSPAC. These are all new bodies. INSPA is a new body, NSIL 2019, INSPA 2020. All right, but Antrix was the commercial arm for the other products that India wanted to sell, right? So let us get back to this deal. Now, Devas, which was constituted in the year 2004 December, what a turn of events. 2004 December, and January 2005 they get a contract from Antrix. January 2005 they get a contract for S-band spectrum sale, right? It was sold to them on the context that they will be participating in the management of 2 satellites in the lower Earth orbit, 2 satellites here in communication orbits, and for coming 12 years, and they will be paying 150 crores to the government, and this will help in telephony services. This will help in direct to home services to Indians. All right. Now, this deal was finalized in 2005, just 1.5 months after formation of this company, and it got a contract for 150 crores. It had to pay this much, but 2012, this deal was scrapped. It was scrapped. The reason that was given by the government said that we will use this particular zone of satellites for security purposes, not for commercial purposes. This is what the government said. And this was the same time when 2G spectrum scam had happened. CAG had said, and there were other institutions which said that this 150 crore deal which government got, this was a peanut, meager amount as compared to the revenue that Devas could generate. It could generate, there was a total loss of 2 lakh crore, possible loss of 2 lakh crore. So this is a possible, corrupt deal that happened, and it was not investigated because the whole thing was abolished. Now, what is happening is that, so Devas company, who formulated it? Devas was formulated with the help of some investors from Mauritius. Ab samajh lo, kahan se aa raha hai paisa, kyun aa raha hai paisa? Mauritius is one place from where round tripping of money happens in India. And some investors from USA as well. 3 investors from here, not USA, Germany, right? Somebody from Germany as well. Now, when the deal was scrapped, these people say that we have suffered losses because of you, because it was a 12-year contract, and you have spoiled the terms of contract. So we need some, reimbursement for that. So they went to International Court of Arbitration. Many courts based in France, based in Hague, based in other places, right? So they went there and they even got them awarded $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion government of India had to pay. अब ये दर घूम रहे थे. They were saying, there was people who are dealing with Devas company. They said that we will start seizing the assets of Indian government, for example Air India, abroad. That is why it was in news. Earlier, अभी कुछ महीने पहले, there was another company which was trying to seize the assets of Air India. Can you name that company? We have discussed this. I will explain that also. So this is about the seizing of assets of Air India. Meanwhile, Indian government was behind their back saying, we are not going to bow before you because this is a complete cheat company right? The company got formulated to give services to Indians here, but actually it was not, it was a false pretext. It was not able to deliver those services in the country. This is what the present finance minister also says. So false pretext of formation of a company, and also we also had ISRO people involved in this kind of deal, because there was some internal information which was passed on to formulate a company like this just 1.5 months before passing on this deal. So this is against the people in ISRO also. So what is happening here is that this is the satellite, this is the ground relay stations, and these are the telecom operators, right? This is an additional issue. This is a separate issue, but very much related. Now, the ground relay stations are the ones which interact with the satellite, and they further pass on the the communication directly to the telecom players. This is an additional issue where the telecom players want direct access to the satellites. In fact, telecom players want that if you have these stations, these bigger earth stations, why not allow us also to participate in these kind of deals? This is what was proposed by Vodafone International, right? Just lately, when government also participated in owning this company. All right, so this is the issue. Government has now said regarding this particular deal that we are in no way going to give you this money. In fact, it is initiating cases against people who started Davis company and people who had colluded here. Now one issue here is that NCLT, National Companies Law Tribunal, and Appellate Tribunal, both of the places had said we did not pay anything. The one who is at fault is Davis, and then Supreme Court has also reaffirmed this, that we are backing government of India, nothing to worry. So this is the present case where India is not bowing down. The fault is from the end of Davis. Some corruption happened here, right? So this is the complete issue, and the government in fact has said, "Isko liquidate karo. Let us sell the assets of Davis completely in India, so that we could recover, and gain some money for the government." So ED, CBI, all have been investigating this case, right? So this is the one, all right? And yes, you guys are correct, Ashish. Keynes Energy, a part of Keynes International. Ashish Kriti, absolutely correct, right? Keynes was also behind, but in that case, government had to pass on the 8,000-9,000 crore loss, because that was legitimate. That was a legitimate issue. In case of this, yes, Ravi, you are absolutely correct. In case of security, this security was the pretext on which government said we are cancelling the band spectrum. All right, good. Yes, Ravi, capital gain tax. We covered this issue when it was in news, right? So this is the issue that is in news. Now, a question that I have, see, we have understood what are the advantages. You people yourself wrote the advantages of privatization in the space sector. But look at the kind of ruckus we have created. This is going to impact the private sector participation. Had we had some transparency, we are talking of the year 2005, internet nahi tha, right? Deals were not happening online, everything was not present online. But now this is in the international fora that government of India is not repaying international arbitration courts. They are saying government is not repaying the $1.2 billion. So which international company would like to participate with India, right? This is the issue when we do not have transparency in international, international deals. International Chamber of Commerce based in Paris, and then we have United Nations Commission of International Trade Law, and then we have Permanent Court of Arbitration, right? All of them based at Hague. Now these are the places which have already said, "Paise de do." Lekin government will not give, because government knows that there is a round tripping of money or very much scope of corruption. So this is the Antrix-Devas deal. Devas has to be now completely, its assets have to be sold. Devas is behind saying that we'll sell Air India's assets. So this is the complete issue, right? What is the lesson derived out of it, right? Have transparent deals, right? We have also to understand that we are going to privatize our space sector in times. And I've also presented the whole structure, the schema. If you have not taken a screenshot, this is worth it. These things are worth it. NSIL, Antrix, INSPAC, and SPA. These are very, very important keywords for you, right? Okay, moving ahead to the third snapshot for today, Republic Day Tableau. Now, these are the Tableau which are in news. This is a federal issue between center and state. A Tableau is something like this, right? Republic Day may we see. This is where I urge you to watch the Republic Day parade. This time it will start 30 minutes later, because they want to hold, the air show when the clouds and haze is less. in Delhi. All right. So the tableau issue is such: certain tableau are selected by the Ministry of Defense. Ministry of Defense is the one which organizes and it ensures the smooth conduction of the Republic Day parade. So yes, good pre-question here, right? Which is the ministry which institutes and conducts the Republic Day parade? Ministry of Defense. And this asks all the various states that we have, states, union territories, various ministries and departments of the government, some autonomous bodies, election commission, right, municipal corporation of Delhi, all of them, certain security agencies, ki chalo aap, you send across your tableau to us. Tableau are these, jhanki jo bolte hain Hindi mein. You send them and we will see what is important. We will also have a theme. For example, the theme for this India is India at 75, vision for India, development of India, progress for India. So this, there's a process of scrutiny. This is what the government says. But 2-3 states, West Bengal, Kerala, now Tamil Nadu, they have alleged you have rejected our tableau, whereas we did have good theme with us. They have presented an issue out of it, right? So point being that ये जो tableau बनते हैं ना, इससे direct question आ जाता है. This is the point I am making here, right? That is why presenting here directly. When the speaker in the Republic Day parade, the person who is commentating, when they speak about these tableau are the one which depict the culture of the country. So when we had West Bengal presenting it, the West Bengal had it on 125th anniversary of one very important person. Who 125th anniversary kiska hone wala hai? West Bengal, related to West Bengal, a very, very important national figure, right? Similarly, Kerala was instituting the one for Narayan Guru. See, many of them, so that is the reason that I don't skip Republic Day parade. You should never as well. Now, another news related to Republic Day parade is that there is a beating retreat ceremony, right? There is a useful significance of beating retreat. We will understand that someday. This is where we are going to use a 5-minute drone swarms. Drone swarms. What are drone swarms? You know this word, swarm. Many drones being used together, and they can be used for defense purposes, for security, surveillance. Swarm matlab ki nahi hota, we have swarms of mosquitoes, swarms of these makhi, flies. So swarms of drones, small drones, many of them being used. Beating retreat is a ceremony which is ideally held after the march past ends. And the country, for example, this is an old tradition. I will give you the right example here. Every time there is a war between two countries, right? Old times. And then we had battles between those two countries. Battle is a per day battle. And after that, last mein bhopu bajta hai. So there's an initiation of war and there is a end of war. When the end of war happens, then the whole parade, it march past. And this is beating retreat. They retreat from their, flag posts, they retreat from the battle zone. So when they display the complete, India's republic, the war capacities in Republic Day. Beating retreat is held on 29th of January. And in beating retreat, again, a close ceremony will happen in which they will be using swarm drones. All right, that is why in use. All right, okay. So what is the next important news for us? All right, this day in history dedicated to Debendranath Tagore. अब कितनी बार Rabindranath Tagore and Satyendra Tagore, Debendranath Tagore, and then we also have his father. How do you remember this? Very simple, no? DDRS. So the grandfather was Dinanath. Dinanath? No, this is not the name. What was the grandfather's name? Anybody? And then the father's name was Debendranath Tagore, and then we had Rabindranath Tagore and his elder brother Satyendra Tagore. Satyendra Tagore, the first civil servant, right? जो exam आप दे रहे हैं, he was the first one to qualify, first Indian to qualify. Rabindranath Tagore, the younger one, and very much into culture and arts, also won the Nobel Prize. And the father, Debendranath Tagore, who was into spiritualism, also a part of Brahmo Samaj, right? Initiated by Brahmo Sabha and Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? You can remember this through the DRS, DRS system, decision review system, Kohli and all. So you can remember like that. Who is the father of, and these people belong to the family of people who were traders and commercial people, and then slowly and steadily went into culture as well, right? Very renowned, influential family from Bengal. All right, you guys correct, absolutely. It was Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. See, This time I noted there were many questions in PSIR optional, Political Science International Relation optional, from 30 years of India's LPG reforms, from 50 years of specific reforms, or 80 years of specific event, right? And Subhash Chandra Bose therefore becomes again important, right? 2022 becomes his 125th birth anniversary. We have a couple of beautiful movies on his name. One is Bose Unforgotten Hero, and the other one is Baba, what is Baba? Dwarkanath, Yasha. Absolutely, Dwarkanath is the name. Absolutely, guys, very good. Yes, Ravi says, are they allowing the spectators? Yes, there will be a reduction in number of spectators, 4 to 5,000 spectators, 5 to 8,000 spectators. Earlier, we used to have 24, 25, 35,000 spectators live watching, face to face. And it is very much possible that the Central Asian Republic chiefs, they will not be attending this, in person. All right. So, Peace Lover says, sir, give some example inputs on Devas asset in India. Like example, unka office, the infrastructure that they created, right? All of them, the assets that they had, they must have had some securities. Now, when they're claiming a loss of $1.2 billion for themselves, they would have had something for themselves, right? This is the thing, Peace Lover. Good that you asked a question. Very happy that you people are asking. Great. All right, Gumnami Baba. Absolutely. Thank you. Another name by which, Bose is called. A very, very prominent figure. This is the feature news for today. A very interesting news on the forest report, biennial report, and we will understand what is happening here. It is not just about the forest cover. We also will speak about the forest fires, right? We also will speak about various other issues related to climate change, tree cover, etc. Image of the day, part of the Hindi newspaper. This is one of the species of molluscs which was found in the Western Ghat region. Right, this mollusk, how do they thrive is because they create some shells around them. Right? Mollusk kya hota hai? Jaise we have snails, no? These are mollusks only, right? So they create a shell, crustacean shell, calcium level shell around them, and through this shell they are able to cut through woods, and this becomes their fuel, this becomes their food, and this is how they are called as wood eating. So this species is also called as the wood eating mollusk, right? So important indicators, these are very important indicators of the ecology, bioindicators, right? New species of deep sea mollusks. Okay, the terms for today. India National Startup Awards. Now this startup award has been instituted and it has been this time presented to one of the companies associated with Tata. What have they done? Right, they have formulated a company, a vehicle which is going to supply diesel to homes, right? So they will supply diesel to individual homes, and that is why they were in news. So there's a truck and this will reach out to your home and it will supply. This is the Startup India Awards, right? So that is why in news. Now see, India is one of the places where we are energizing and presenting, in newer startups with times to come. Not only startups, we also have the formulation of innumerable number of unicorns, right? Unicorns are those startups which have achieved a valuation of $1 billion plus, right? So what are startups then? How many years of formation of the company? It will still be called a startup, 7 or 10? Answer this, please. All right. So this startup award is going to ensure, see, if startup gets recognition and award, what happens? There are more investors in that company. So this is how you can relate it. This startup award is going to initiate an ecosystem of more investment, more environment for initiating innovative technologies. Twindemic has been in news in European economies. You know why? Because along with COVID, this European economy is also facing another epidemic of flu symptoms. So see, the population in European economy is already aging. Many people are into their 30s, 40s and 50s, and for them to catch comorbidity is not an issue, right? It is very much possible because they're also elderly population. This is the reason that Twindemic is in news. And please mind you, European countries and the American countries, they've already started to oppose. In the first wave also they opposed, second wave opposed, and third wave and fourth wave, whatever happened in Europe, they all the time opposed lockdowns because they promote liberalism. There is a spirit of liberalism, and this is what is happening in India also. Third wave, and then there have been series of not particular lockdowns, but shutdowns of offices, shutdowns of restaurants, malls, and eateries, and these multiplexes, and they've already started to speak on their behalf, right? Is it now onwards a conspiracy against or in favor of medical industry and against many other people? Because medical industry is a far bigger industry in India, right? So people are saying third wave onwards, the issue of COVID will become an endemic, right? जैसे flu होता है, जैसे jaundice होता है, just like we catch typhoid, people are isolated. People can be isolated for a few days. This is how the virus will also ensure to survive, and this is how we will also be able to hold and manage this issue. Weather Hazard Atlas. This is the first time India has released Weather Hazard Atlas. Finally, it has come, and it has also given some guidelines. कहाँ पर क्या hazard ज़्यादा important है, and किससे कैसे बचना है. Indian IMD is the one which has initiated this Weather Hazard Atlas. IMD is an autonomous organization working in partnership with which ministry? Please mention the name of the ministry. Ministry of? Anybody? What is the ministry? Please type it here, right? So Weather Hazard Atlas, it speaks about some important places which are most vulnerable to cyclones. See, which are the places? East Coast, right? South, East and South, two places. They also speak of storm surges. Storm aata hai, so there's surge of water as well. Some of the places along East Coast, some of the places along West Coast, Gujarat, right? Storm surges. And they also speak of places which are going to experience rainfall, right? All right. See, so this will help you to understand, or anybody to understand, what is the weather hazard in the country. So risk hazard mapping, preparedness, disaster preparedness, conduction of participation of National Disaster Response Force. All of this will be enabled through Weather Hazard Atlas. 3 questions the bhai. Pre mein there was a question on volcanoes, there was a question on landslide, there was a question on another one. There were 3 questions on pre in paper 1, 2 and 1 and 3, right? So this is what you can use as writing answers to that question, right? Vulnerable witnesses. Supreme Court has expanded the meaning of vulnerable witnesses. Vulnerable witnesses are those people who are more vulnerable to getting attacked, or their conversion from witness to hostile witness. So these people are those people who probably cannot speak for themselves, people who are deaf, dumb, who are visually impaired, or people who are of a third gender and these communities. So these are the people who need wider protection against the accused, right? So these are defined as vulnerable witnesses. Supreme Court has asked the high courts to ensure that we have vulnerable witness deposition centers, places where we can have them settled well. And where will they be? They will be placed very, very close to the ADR setups in every district. ADR, alternate dispute resolution. So ADR setup ke paas hi, if alternate dispute resolution is not happening, vulnerable witness program should also run alongside, right? Noteworthy, if we have witnesses protection program in the country like India, this will ensure that there is a better conviction rate in the country. So start to relate all of them together. All right. See, it says will include age neutral victims of sexual assault, gender neutral victims of sexual assault, age, gender, and other people also, right? All right. So this is the news editorials of the day. What are the 2 editorials that we have today? The first, absolutely Tiyasha, Ministry of Earth Science. Agnes, absolutely. Netra, very good. 2 questions on landslide and in 2 papers. Yes, there was another question on volcanoes. Okay, editorials of the day. Today we have one important editorial, right? This is on the agreement called as Reciprocal Exchange of Logistics Agreement. The agreement is also called as RELOS agreement, right? So let me quickly make you understand what we are talking of here. Now, look at this map of the world, right? If it is visible clearly, it must not be, but this is an indication that this is India. This is India, and this is the Arctic region, and this is Russia, and this is where we have China. I hope you can understand this much. Now, if we have RELOS agreement between India and Russia, very, very critical agreement, this is going to help India in many, many ways. First of all, remember the Chennai Vladivostok maritime corridor? Yahan se yahan tak, we have a maritime corridor which will link Chennai, Visakhapatnam and Kolkata to Vladivostok. It will increase the trade participation. Now, if we have the logistics exchange program with Russia, then during military times and during peace times, during both the times, we can exchange or we can get supplies for fuel, we can get supplies for food, we can get supplies for various other resources that we want, replenishment of weaponry, everything across wherever there are Russian ports. And we have Russian ports existing all along the Arctic region, all along this. और एक और चीज बताऊं, the Arctic region, the whole Arctic island, this island will remain ice free at least 1 year after 2050. This is a prediction from the COP conference and the 6th IPCC report. I repeat, it will remain ice free at least 1 year after 2050. It means the whole region will be available for Russia to excavate, to mine, to be able to take out industrial or petroleum reserves. Russia has already said that we will give India preferential treatment, what Saudi Arabia does not do for India and China. What do? Asian premium lagate hain, Asian premium. Higher cost they sell to India and China. Whereas Russia has said, we will give you at preferential cost, participate with us. So one advantage is India will have access to those places. India will have greater participation in the Indo-Pacific region. Another good thing about this agreement is that India already has this agreement instituted, this logistical exchange agreement with Quad partners. Japan ke saath hai. It is there with Australia, it is there with USA, it is there with several other countries like France. India is also having it with other countries like Vietnam and UK. So this is something that is going to be advantageous for Russia as well, because Russia will have a wider access at Indian Ocean. See the other advantage, when India and Russia will have access to each other resources along all this Asia Pacific region, China can further be a little diminished here, right? So this is one of the important impacts of this. You can see multiple benefits of this, and see, this is called as the Northern Sea Route. It will be completely available for movement from west to east, right? So we have a port called as Port of Murmansk here, right? And we have a port called as Vladivostok. Complete availability for India to go here and research. See, India is not only going to research for strategic purposes, India also has to understand the climatic and weather phenomena in the subcontinent. And to understand what happens in subcontinent, they have to research something else in Antarctic. A flutter of a butterfly around the earth can also impact the monsoons in India. That is what is a phrase. Okay? So this exchange agreement is also with Singapore, South Korea, many other countries, right? So wider connectivity, counterveiling China's claims, reshuffling Russia-India geopolitics, because when Russia becomes closer to India, right, China-Russia relations will definitely have some irritant, right, and complex weather phenomena understanding. Okay? So this is how we understand this specific agreement between Russia and India. Russia के लिए भी advantage है. India will be investing there and Russia will have more access. Russia is not happy with Quad, but Russia is at least happy that India is participating with it. So start looking at it from the perspective that there are alternate routes for trade with Russia. Okay, good. Okay, the second one is on entrepreneurship in India, family enterprises. See, I was reading one of the editorials one day, and it spoke about why Indians in specific are more successful when they go abroad and they start a company, or why are they in specific chosen as the CEOs. Remember, we had covered one of the featured news on Indians becoming CEOs or at the helm of affairs in many of the companies, be it Twitter, be it Google, be it many other companies. You name them and there are Indians, whereas they were just migrants, first or second generation migrants to USA or Europe. It is because they have faced the issue of being felt unsettled, and that is the reason that they keep struggling. Whereas the people who are based in that place, specifically that place, they are a little more less prone to risk. They are little more averted to risk. They don't want to take risk. But these people, Indians, they could take risks. This is one thing. They are more humble, down to earth as compared to their counterparts. This is why they do well, right? So this is where we compare the difference between the people who have family business and the people who are the first generation in the business, right? People in first generation in business, they can go ahead and take some risks. On the other hand, people in family startups, right, family businesses, they focus on shorter goals, right? They do not go ahead and take those kind of risks. And there is also another category of people who are venture capitalists. So these people only want short-term returns. Company becomes successful, they will come out, sell the organization share, and then they'll come out winning, right? So this is about the kind of differences between entrepreneurs and those people who are having a family business. All right, right? So we have the case study for today. It is on Padmashree person, right? Mr. Patidar from Rajasthan. And what is special about him is that he did not qualify his school level examination yet. He is framing laws of how we should be holding the examination process and what should be taught in agriculture universities, because he has been practicing organic farming in the country for a lot of time, right? He has been a successful farmer, and this is the reason that we are utilizing his services. It talks of the kind of passion that people have while they pursue excellence in their own fields. It reminds me of one of the famous dialogues from movie Lakshya. It says, the father of the hero, protagonist, said to him, घास काटने वाला बनो, लेकिन एक नंबर का बनो तो कुछ बात है. Scientist बनो, third class बनो तो क्या बात है. तो अभी whatever we are at right now, we are students, right, preparing for the exam. अब यही बात है कि करेंगे तो इसको अच्छे से करेंगे, right? We'll achieve Padmashree here, Padma Vibhushan here, and if we achieve this today, tomorrow is also ours, right? So this is a message to you. If you like this initiative, do share some love through likes. Likes are very important. This is one determinant through which we understand who are the dedicated people, who are the people who are regular watchers, right? So please ensure to like. If you do not like, put a thumbs down. That's fine. And please do write your questions, write your doubts. If you have concerns, please put them down. We will get back to you. Let me read out some questions if you have. Ripunjal says, where do we get the PDF? Yes, you go to Edukemy's website. There you will find a resource section. On the top, you click there, you will find current affairs. You will find if you click at current affairs, you will find Gazette, and right there you will be able to find the whole document here. If you put your phone number, the document is also available in text format for you to read. All right, Ripunjal. Okay. Moving ahead, what is the question? Ravi says Dolo 650. All right. Yes, Dolo 650. The Indians consuming this. 10 years. Okay, great. 10 years for a startup. Very good. All right. The question that you have, brain drain. Yes, Netra, that was the brain drain article. Khushi says, what is maritime security? Khushi, maritime security relates to the security of all the countries in the international marine space, right? So we are talking of when you have the 70% of oceans around the world, 70% of ocean around the world, right? Most of it is not owned by a particular country. It has to be regulated by some certain laws which are beneficial to everybody. Maritime security, right? So those set of laws are called as UNCLOS, right? Convention on the Laws of Seas, United Nations Convention on the Laws of Seas. So this is where there are set of rules which have been told कि कौन से country का how much you can extract resources, right? So it leads to some energy security, some substantial security for where and how much they can excavate. This is one security dimension, right? Resources excavation, 200 nautical miles, right? This is one. Then freedom of navigation, FONOP. Freedom of navigation, this is a keyword. America calls it freedom of navigation exercises. Many of the countries do it. They will purposefully go very close to our territorial waters and they will navigate from their warship, instigating us, putting us on an alarm. America does it to many countries. It has done to China. It has also done to India and provoked India. So the freedom of navigation should be there. And then there should be some security from non-state actors, right? Have you watched movies where we talk of sea pirates, right? So usse bhi bachna hai, right? Not only that, there should be access, universal and freedom of access to all the maritime spaces. So this is what is, there are wider dimensions of maritime security. All right, Khushi. So we will hope to see you in the forthcoming videos as well. So thank you for participating. The next video to be scheduled right now, next to this video, is the one on State of India's Forest Report 2021. And this is a very, very important report. We will understand what is the position of Indian forest and many aspects related to it, right? So please join me in the other video. If you like this video, share some love through likes, comments and shares, right? We will see you there quickly. Thank you for participating. Put the questions here.